the Clippers next year are winning less games than the T-Wolves.
Last year, I feel like you know what your prediction was on the Timberwolves, right? It was, they were going to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, right? So we're doing this again, right? We're doing this again. Now it's the Clippers. Now you're singling out the Clippers. And what I got to say is, will they finish with a better record than the Clippers? I am just 100% in disagreement with you on that, because and listen, you're going to throw back at me, John. I understand what you're going to throw back at me. You're going to throw back, well, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard haven't played this amount of games, but they've been, blah, blah, blah. They haven't played games, right? I just got a feeling. I think Paul George is going to have a healthy season going into this season. Kawhi is probably going to play his, 50 to 55 games, which is perfectly fine. And I think the Clippers are going to be right around 50 wins, maybe just a hair under 50 wins this season. And I don't think the Timberwolves are sniffing even. I don't think they're getting the 5th seed. 100. I really just don't believe they're even getting the 5th seed. I see the Clippers as either the 4th, 5th, maybe even the 3rd seed. But that's where I stand on it. I can't get on with Rudy Gobert giving you absolutely nothing offensively. I love Anthony Edwards. He needs more help. Karl Anthony Towns is not the guy. You even are in agreement with that. And so, yeah, they just have a couple of things they got to tweak. They're kind of in a little bit of a handicap because of how much they gave away for Rudy Gobert. They don't really have as much draft capital as they would like. So, yeah, I don't see the only argument you can make against why the Timberwolves will have a better regular season record than the Clippers, right, John? The only argument you can make is that the Clippers won't be healthy. If we're talking talent, then your point is null and void.
I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry, Brandon. This is my first time back on the show in a long time. So fittingly, I have to disagree with you. I'm with John, man. First off, going into the season, I always said that this Minnesota team just needed a little bit of time to really just get gel and get used to each other. And all the points that John made are valid. Filling all those voids that they made when they made that trade for Rudy Gobert. And then I think the biggest key, and what we didn't touch on, was just this next year for Anthony Edwards. What we expect out of this guy. This is a guy that we pointed out before saying that could be a potential MVP candidate. And you've seen the flashes in the pan, and now it's time to put it all together in a season. And now we have concerns about what Cat can be. Is he just what we've seen? Is there any more that he can do? Can he be a complementary piece to a championship contender? I'm not ready to rule it out and say absolutely not. I think Cat, he may not be he's not the number 1 on a championship team, but if Anthony Edwards does take that next step, if Rudy Gobert if he's the guy that we all expect him to be on defense, and then if Cat can transition into that role as a power forward, then I don't know. I think the sky's the limit for the Timberwolves. I think they're not too far from chasing championships and I feel like the Clippers' window is closing because of Kawhi's age and injury history. So I think if there's any time, it's now for the Timberwolves.
I think the whole point of making this topic, Justin, was to point out the fact it's been over for the Clippers for over a year now. This year, not only were they 17th in net rating, but they weren't a good defense. For the better part of the season, they were one of the 10 worst defenses in the league. Now, you look at the roster, and the theory of it is, well, you've got Kawhi, a former depoy, 2-time. You've got Paul George, a former all-defensive caliber player. Obviously, they've got good defenders in the roster. But as Justin pointed out, a guy like Marcus Morris is cooked. A guy like Nick Batum is at that age where he's almost cooked. A guy like Kawhi Leonard has himself a 50-game regular season. He gets 2 games into the playoffs, and he's already tearing his meniscus. To think that he's going to be healthy this year, to think that Paul George will be healthy enough, is a little bit ridiculous. The saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is going to be the 5th year of people getting fooled by a Clippers team that, first and foremost, Kawhi's knees are cooked. It's over. It's been over for quite some time. He cannot be the guy he was in Toronto. But the second thing is, too, Paul George has missed more games outside of the year that Kawhi entirely missed. He played 31 games, barely. Didn't even play half the season a year ago. To think that he's going to be healthy is a little bit ridiculous because he's never been healthy, unfortunately. And I like these 2 players, but the whole idea here is a team like Minnesota gets a lot more value from their top two players that missed a total of 6 games in 2023 than what Kawhi and Paul George are giving you at this current point in time. And I think a lot of people look at the Russell Westbrook signing and the Clippers getting Kenyon Martin Jr. Those are 2 good moves this offseason, and I think that moves the needle. But the Clippers are missing the 2 stars, man. Not only is this defense not good, that's what leads you to regular season wins, but the 2 guys can't be healthy for you in the playoffs. And so when we look at the Western Conference, I rule out the Clippers for making a Lakers-like redemption arc. I don't see it with these 2 stars. And fortunately for Tyronn Lue, he's had to put up with load management every single November. It's probably only going to get worse this year. And given he was halfway out the door a couple of months ago, I honestly think if it weren't for the Clippers getting this new arena, it would already be over. I mean, there's no basketball theory to keeping this band of guys together because you've unfortunately seen it play out a couple of times now, and it's a new time in the Western Conference. The days of the Clippers have unfortunately passed.
So yeah, I mean, you basically went exactly where I thought you would go, which is the health concern. So again, I can't argue.
What do you think about the Clippers being the 18th ranked defense? What do you think about that?
All right, but what do you think about the fact that all right, let's play this game then, John. Right? Let me ask you a simple question. If Kawhi Leonard was healthy during that playoff run against the Phoenix Suns, who wins that series?
It doesn't matter. He wasn't healthy.
Okay, but you're asking me what do I think about the 18th net, whatever the hell that, right?
18th ranked defensive rating.
Yes, but I'm telling you in the playoffs where it counts most,
Kawhi
he got injured again. Yes, he
after
got hurt.
playing 50 minutes of competitive basketball. Kawhi's knee blew.
We're not arguing it. I'm not arguing injury. I'm not bringing up injury. I'm just simply asking you a hypothetical question.
Oh, hypotheticals in the Clippers. Those have worked out.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But like, if you again, I said if you want to argue injury, I can't. I'm not arguing injury with you because I agree with you. But if you want to argue talent, then you're dead wrong in that case. But
talent, they were not even an above average offense this last season.
Again, I go back to
Kawhi
the question again. I go back to the question, which you don't want to answer because it's a hypothetical. If Kawhi Leonard was healthy, just Kawhi, don't even give me Paul George, just give me Kawhi. What happens in that series?
They win.
Yeah.
They win the series if Kawhi stays healthy.
They most likely win in probably 7 games, right? And if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are healthy, they probably win in 5. But again, you wanna argue injury. I can't. You win. 100% agree. Minnesota. Again, but here's the thing. I don't even think with the injury concerns, they finished with a better record than the Clippers because we just saw last year with the Clippers, again, ravaged with injuries, they finished with a better record. Now you're going to come back and say the Minnesota Timberwolves have made moves. Anthony Edwards is going to take another step. They're going to gain more
continuity. Cat missed 53 games last year. He had a throat infection that caused
him with Cat.
Before the season even started, Cat was not healthy. Before the season even started, Rudy Gobert was playing international. He was not healthy. But those 2 guys do not have a debilitating knee condition and an injury history that dates the last 7 years. So you can say to yourself, oh, Cat can play 50 games, 60 games. He'll be healthy in the playoffs. You look at Kawhi's knees. One knee injury leads to another. The more you get, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And it's going to
continue. Like, what are we doing? We're going around in circles again. John, you're repeating yourself. We're going in circles. I can't argue injury with you. I can't. I agree.
It is an argument that I mean, Brandon admitted. He said that's 100 times out of 100. You can't argue that. The writing's on the wall when it comes to injury, when it comes to the Clippers. But he does have a point. If that Clippers team, which is a big if, that at that point we're playing hypotheticals, if they're healthy, that Clippers team could have went far in the postseason.
Yeah, I just think the only thing I was getting at was, the Clippers, while dealing with a bunch of injuries that they dealt with this year, like they have the past, however many years, the 6 or 4 years it's been going on, they finished with a better record than the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think that is going to be the case again. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to I think the Nuggets are going to stay at the tippy top. Memphis is probably going to take a decline, right? Sacramento is going to stay around where they were. Maybe the third is a little much, but maybe they stay around there. Phoenix is obviously, I think they're going to be better. Golden State, I believe they're going to be a little bit better than what they were. The Lakers, I think they're going to be better than what they were. You guys believe Dallas is going to be much better than they were. I just think that you look at the Timberwolves. I mean, It's a lot. I mean, they're going to get better. What are they going to move from 8 to 6?
Yes.
Okay, if that's the case, I highly doubt that the Clippers are finishing worse than 6. That is like,
They missed the
I
playoffs
just
a year
cannot
ago.
see that. Huh?
A year ago, they missed the playoffs.
Yeah. When Kawhi Leonard missed the entire season, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
okay.
PG
He's
missed
not going to miss the entire season this year.
I
Most
agree.
likely.
But the Western Conference got a lot better, as you just pointed out. Wiggins stays healthy. He missed a large part of this year.
You're changing the argument.
But the idea here is a team like Minnesota got a lot better because Anthony Edwards last year, he's taken a jump from like, okay, he's a young star. Oh no, this is a guy who's been the best player on the floor in multiple playoff games. And he was 20 years old, then 21. Yeah. At 22 years old, we're pretty confident Anthony Edwards is going to take another step forward.
Wait, you're not talking...
By putting the pen to the paper, this is his team. And if he's taken one step after another in each of his first 3 years, year 4, you're looking at an all-NBA player. No doubt about it. But more importantly, you're looking at the type of star who can galvanize a team. He can lead a team. He can play 80 games. Yeah. He can set you up to be more than a 5th seed. The Clippers aren't going to be more than a 4th seed ever with Kawhi. So if he's going to give you a lot more value in the regular season, and Jaden McDaniels is arguably the best wing defender right now at 22 years old in the entire sport, I simply think, yeah, PG may be more talented than those guys, but what duo brings more value to the table? That duo is in Minnesota.
I don't say it, but you said something. I just wanted you to clarify. You said Anthony Edwards is the best player in 2 playoff series. You're not talking about the Denver series, right? That just happened.
He's been the best player in multiple playoff games.
Oh, games, not series. You meant to say games, not series?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you said series. Okay. Yeah, listen, I you got no qualms with me on Anthony Edwards. I believe in the kid. He's 21 years old. Do I think he's an MVP candidate now or next year? No, I don't, because I think you have to finish. For me, MVP candidates have to finish at least the 4th seed is like at worst what you can be. And I think that they're not getting to the 4th seed in the Western Conference. So they're going to have, like I said at the beginning, Minnesota also has some moves to make. If they want to crack up with the top dogs, I don't think this unit is the unit to crack with those top dogs. I think Anthony Edwards is that guy. I don't think his dogs behind him are. McDaniels, sure, I agree. You want a solid, an elite defender. I like that a lot. I think his co-stars are the ones to look at and say they're not the guys to get it done with him. That's my opinion.
You know what, though? With Rudy Gobert, I think a guy that's been overlooked is him. He had a bad year. Name was dragged in the mud. He wasn't healthy there to start. So it's not just McDaniels. It's Rudy at the rim who's 1-3 deep poise. And at 30 years old, he's taken a step back. Is his offensive game, pretty dismal? Oh, totally. It's hard to watch him play. He can't catch a ball below his waist. But he was also the best rim protector in the sport for quite some time. And if he's healthy this year, he had a longer offseason than usual, last 2 years, because Utah's been a first-round exit with him. And it's safe to assume that duo of him and Jaden McDaniels can take them from a top 10 defense to a top 5 defense. And when you look at top 5 defenses, those are the types of teams with very high floors. Look at the Atlanta Hawks. They've been a top 5, top 7 offense the last 2 years, but they've been just an 8th seed because in each of those 2 seasons, their defense has been terrible. They've tried it. They've added DeJounte Murray. They haven't been able to solve it. But when you get an elite defense and you have multiple All-NBA creators, that is where a team like the Kings slips through the cracks with one healthy season. And then you're like, oh, wait, this is the crazy, we didn't see this coming, but it was possible. And then they just showed us we will do it. I think the Timberwolves are that team this year that, look, I agree. Karl-Anthony Towns needs to be put in an environment where he's actually playing the right position. He is not a power forward. That being said, the Timberwolves youth and what they've done in the drafts, Leonard Miller is going to be a guy who's going to play rotation minutes early on. Naz Reid could honestly start in some teams. Those are the types of complementary players and the niche guys, they give enough value to the team to where they can be both a top 12 offense, a little bit outside the top 10, and a top 7 off and a top 7 defense. That is a pretty safe bet to be a top 5 seed.